You're watching Teng Tools Muscle Garage, the home of New Zealand's toughest muscle cars, hot rods and street machines. Muscle Garage is proudly brought to you by Teng Tools in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Niedercar. Coming up, a Hilux on steroids. Champion of the straight axle called Skinny runs us through his sky-high Pontiac Gasser. And Mike Bari goes next level with his new Papakura workshop. But first up, we've got more from the mainland. Together with our mates at Niedercar, we kicked off our coverage from the awesome Kaikoura Hop a couple of episodes back. Well, there was far too much from the 4-day event to cram into just one episode, so here we are with round 2. Now in its 8th year, it's an event that's had more than its fair share of challenges. A magnitude 7.8 earthquake will do that. Planning for an event of this scale is a daunting proposition in itself, without dealing with major losses to local infrastructure, not the least of which is fairly crucial to a car show: roading. Organisers Doug and Fonda have soldiered on, and the Hop now plays a pretty major role in the local economy, annually injecting millions of dollars. But running the numbers all sounds pretty serious, where in fact the Hop is all about having a bit of fun. No need to pitch that to this lot. The 700 plus entrants came from all over.
The location, so location, you know, and we were in a magic 3-hour travelling period on top of the South Island and the West Coast. You know, it's easy travelling for them. Wellington's not that far away really when you think about it. Had a bit of a cruise on Thursday up to meet the small islanders from the north there and check their passports and their money and made sure they were all right to come to the South Island to visit us.
A lot of it's travelling with the friends. You know, you're travelling as a group to get here, or you're meeting friends from somewhere else, sharing good times, laughing, but on top of that it's enjoying the cars.
Kaikoura is just a really laid-back, good event, mate. It just seems to flow, and the people, everyone's so happy around here, you know. I mean, I know, look at the surroundings, the place is awesome, mate.
Variety is one of the neat things about Kaikoura Hop. Organiser Doug states it's a show for car enthusiasts. We're enthusiastic about cars. This was reflected with a wide range of vehicles, especially on the show days. But there was quality along with quantity, and we spied a number of very clean muscle cars amongst the ranks. If this all looks like a bit of you, then best you get in early. Accommodation is tight at the best of times, and even more so post-quake. Or you could be smart, like Rusty.
The accommodation's a 1955 Chevy pickup and a 1959 Starliner caravan. The truck came first. I've had that for approximately 4 years now. I've had it on the road for a year and a half. Yeah, and the Starliner's, this is its first trip out.
There's plenty of similarities when building a caravan versus a car, except perhaps the starting point.
Yeah, basically the best idea probably is to take it right to pieces. So I done the inside first and then applied the aluminium on the outside last. So it was sort of back to front building away, but yeah. I believe it was 4 years they were made. There's basically 2 different shapes, and then they ceased production, so they're quite a short run, but because of the shape of them, they're extremely popular. And
the tow truck wasn't a bad bit of kit either.
We've got a 327 Chevy in it and a 350 Auto, yeah, the later model diff, so it's a bit of an economical runner. Yeah, being a builder, utes, trucks, sort of the best of both worlds, and yeah, and I've always loved the 55 Chev, 56 Chev. So.
A maiden voyage for our next interview victim too. The GTO finished mere hours before departing Cromwell. Just one of the car's stories.
It was a gift to myself after my past wife decided she was leaving. So this was, I swapped my wife for a car. It's a 1971 Pontiac GTO. It was on Trade Me, and at that stage it was all dressed up in the Judge decals. Just recently I thought, no, I'll change it. Just put it back to the GTO because that's what it really is. When we went to fix it, it had a few bubbles under the vinyl roof, but it was absolutely had it under there. So we decided we'd bare metal the whole car, and a year later, here it is. So it's running a 400 engine with a 600 4-barrel carb on it. Since I've got it, I've put alloy heads on it and a new intake manifold, changed the mufflers, put a gear vendor's overdrive unit into it. Instead of doing around about 12 miles to the gallon, I'm now going about 15 to 17, which is a little bit more economical, but not much. But if you're going to worry about petrol, you don't worry about having one of those, do you? What's the use of having a car if you can't drive it? And it's already got a stone chip on it from on the trip up, but that's life, and that's the way it is with classic cars. When you drive them, and that's what they're for.
A car with a crowd around it for most of the weekend was John's Essex, probably trying to work out what on earth it was.
It started out as a four-door 1930 Essex Challenger. It was a $50 body that the vintage car boys didn't even want. Just I wanted a car that no one else had had. I'd had lots of V8s, but there'd been other people's. So I turn up at the show now and it's my car, and I'm lucky enough to have a boy that's talented enough with a cutting disc, 2.5 inches out of the roof. Took the back doors out obviously, closed them in, made it like a wee panel van. I kind of like being a bit of a boy and skid it up, but this particular car won't skid up. It seems to drop its back end and disappears away in a real hurry, which is quite exciting.
Up front, a 671 blower feeds a low compression 454, and just as well too.
Everybody says it would be a light car, but we put it over the weighbridge and it came in at 1.6 tonne, so it's a heavy little car, sits on the road nicely, no power steering, so a bit agricultural in the steering department. And people say, what is it? I said, it's a hot rod, mate, nothing else. It's angry, it looks cool, makes you feel good when you go past the shop window and look at it. It's just a fun wee car. I don't know whether it's loud or what it is, but it's just cool.
No arguments from us, but the best part, despite its one-off restyling, it's far from wrapped in cotton wool.
Yeah, it's all steel, and I'm lucky enough, Michael Stewart, my son, made it. And I plug his business, Michael Stewart Restoration, and he says, Dad, it's only steel, we can fix it, you know. Yeah, we're going to use it. I've had it on Highlands on a Sunday afternoon, and it doesn't corner too good, and if you nail it coming out of the corner, it really wants to put the back where the front is. It's just, yeah, learn to drive again, really. But it is a fun car.
After 4 days of everything from shed raids to show and shines under the sunny Kaikoura skies, the 8th hop comes to a close and the 700 strong started making their way home. A crowd in excess of 12,000 was a great result for the organisers, but thankfully the Kaikoura Hop still maintained its relaxed, low-key atmosphere. Doesn't matter where you live, we'd highly recommend making a big circle around September the 19th to the 22nd in your 2019 calendar.
Amazing results, even at full sight.
You're back with Teng Tools Muscle Garage, proudly brought to you by Teng Tools, in association with Mount Shop, Maguire's and Need a Car. Right, feature car time. Thanks to the crew from Maguire's, we're in Tuahiwi, Canterbury to get up to speed with Skinny's sky-high Pontiac Gasser.
Yeah, I've got it bad. I've had it for a lot of years. It all started basically when I was a young fella and I met a couple of guys with a tea bucket. It was just a love affair with a car from there on in, basically. So the first car I ever owned through them was a Simca Vedette V8 with a wee V8 60 in it, which I chopped up, which I was only about 14 years old then, and put it into a Ford pop body. And it sort of grew from there. It's just got right out of control. So yeah, anything that's got petrol and wheels on it, we're all into it, yeah, for sure.
But a quick nosy round the workshop at Skinny's Speed and Gas will leave you under no illusion as to where his tastes have landed all these years later.
Gases, all gases. Drag cars in particular, anything 60s that's fast, burns rubber, goes like stink. That's what I'm into. Always have been, always will be. We've played drag racing games for the last probably 25 years on and off, and really got the bug now. It's even got bigger than what it was. And now that I've met Craig and them up in the North Island, it's got even bigger.
Fueling the fire is the establishment of a vintage Gasser class, the brainchild of Craig Mullen. The cars are pre-70. The priority, keep drag racing fun. Straight axles, burnouts, wheel stands, and nostalgia cars running against each other. It's not hard to see why so many are pretty excited to see this series kick off very shortly.
I guess it's got a beam axle under the front, so they've cut all the suspension out of it to get the weight out of the front of the car and to transfer weight to the back wheels to get more traction. That was the whole idea of it all. And to get the car higher, yeah, to get more traction. And it's a look that's always stuck for years, and now, this time now, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and America has got out of control. It's just like driving a Hilux on steroids. It's exactly what it's like. Yeah, it's a buzz and a half, for sure, yeah.
These days, every inch of Skinny's Pontiac looks the business, but this coupe was bought with other plans.
Well, I'd bought a 1963 Pontiac sports coupe that needed a few parts, so we got on to Trade Me and tripped over this car, which was down in Bluff. So I emailed the guy and says to Mum, what are you doing with the car? And he goes, well, it's pretty well rubbish, but it was good for parts. So I says, well, what do you want for it? And he goes, $1,000. So I says, I'll be there tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock in Bluff. So it was a bit of a road trip to go and get it. Bring it home, and it sat here for probably 3 months deciding what we were going to do with the rest of the car. Didn't want to scrape it, it was too good, being a sports coupe. And then, yeah, it's grown into what it is today.
And the first step was a doozy.
Cutting the front of it. I had to cut the front chassis of it because the other car I've got been praying quite bad. It had a head-on accident, so we needed the front half of the chassis for the other car. You get a car sitting there with only 2 wheels on the back of it going, what do you do with it? I ended up getting a front half of or a rear half of a chassis off a jailbar pickup truck, stitching that onto it, making an axle for it, and then fitting a big block sheave into it, and it just grew from there basically. 454, it's got Corello rods, flat top pistons on it, so it's a bit higher compression than what it really should be. 671 on it. 2750 double pumpers on it. It's got a cam I had built by Calford Cams a few years ago, which is due to get the biff. It's got a turbo 400 trans, manual valve bodied, which my cousin Herb Lane had built. It's got 4 56 diff gears and a 9-inch locked, or spooled as they call them, 31 spine axles, running 30-inch by 15-inch slicks on the back. Yeah, that's about all I can really say. It's the usual typical hot rod to that description, yeah it is.
And yeah, it's a bit rough and ready for the drag strip, but don't for a minute make the mistake of thinking it's just been thrown together.
The writing on it is all hand done. Yeah, everything on it is basically period. Yeah, the blower on it as well, the big pulleys on it, it's all time. The retro what it was back in the day is none of this late stuff we have today. Yeah, it's carbureted. Yeah, it all looks like it should look. Yeah. It's getting the front axle set right, getting the hot ride height to look right. Yeah, I can't really say too much more about that sort of it. Yeah, it's a bit of a secret, a lot of it.
And surprisingly, off the strip, this tall coupe has rather nice manners.
If you drive them sedately, they drive really nice. If you want to give them a handful, they will be a handful.
For Skinny, a lifelong love of all things automotive is also his livelihood. Skinny's Speed and Gas is located at Tuahiwi, North Canterbury. Straight axle installs recommended, but not compulsory.
Yeah, it was a hobby, and but I always sort of had mates come around and people come around going, oh, can you do an exhaust, or can you do a front suspension, or do this and do that, and it's grown, and it's grown right out of control. It's just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and every day is different. One week we might have a roof chop, and the next week might be suspension, might be a rust around a windscreen on a truck or a car, trailers, we do all sorts of strange things. It just depends on what people want, and like I say, it depends on who walks through the gate on the day, you know. Yeah, it does make it a really interesting job, yeah. Well, I think I'll be doing this till the day I die. I can't see me ever doing, I don't want to learn anything else. I'm quite happy doing what I'm doing. No, I'm real happy, yeah.
Right, shed raiding time. Thanks to our mates at Mount Shop, we're in Papakura to visit Mike Bari's Next Level Automotive. While the name might be new, Mike, a mechanic by trade, is no stranger to building serious cars, and we've pointed the camera at a few of them over the years. Next Level represents a bit of a refocus from the more general mechanical work of his previous role to building and maintaining cars he's dedicated his spare time to for decades.
It's more of a passion, you know? It's just the love of the working on these different vehicles, you know? It's good.
Jumping on the bandwagon? Not likely. Case in point, one of Mike's own cars. 598 cubes of NOS-snorting Chevelle. Armed with over 900 horses, the big Chev will stop the clock at 9.2 seconds on the quarter. And that's the NOS set to Stage 1. Stage 2 jumps to over 1,100 rear-wheel horsepower. For a genuine street car, it all sounds mighty impressive if you stop there. But it doesn't. Where Mike Chevelle shines, quite literally, is in its presentation.
The old Chevelle, it's I don't use it as much as I should. It's actually ending up sort of like a business card type advertisement for what I'm doing here now, you know, and it's never ending the comments it gets, you know, so yeah, it's good. Being a mechanic, what makes a good car for me is the way it sits. It's got to look like it come off the factory floor, but when you look closer, it's modified. When you're modifying it, to make sure everything works practically and it's easy to work on. You know, there's nothing worse than something modified and it's just not enjoyable to work on. When it drives, it's got to drive nice, it's got to run nice, it's got to fit all the applications that it's meant to do, you know. You get some cars that look cool, but boy, they're just a train wreck, you know.
And having a big horsepower street brawler is no longer an excuse for poor manners.
You can modify a car now and have what used to be a radical grumpy engine be super tame with the likes of EFI, so you can end up building a reasonably powerful car and really nice to drive. You know, like the Impala here, it's got the late model LS3 engine in it, had a cam in it, you know, it's got a nice little idle to it, 500 odd horsepower, you know. You couldn't do that years ago, you know, so this guy can jump in it, turn key, idles, runs like a late model car and drives. Makes all these cars these days such a better car to drive and to have, you know.
But just because you're jamming a newfangled motor into an old-fashioned car, the spaghetti of modern wiring and factory Tupperware engine covers are not going to fly around here.
Detail is important, like it's all the little things that some people miss, a lot of people pick up, you know, and it's whether it's topside or underneath the car, your detail makes the car it is. It was a nice car, a factory big block item, and he just says, hey, I want this thing to go better, turnkey, like a late model car, and he's like, you know, gave me a few ideas, and I says, basically, go the LS way. Everyone's going the LS way, yes they are, but the gains you can get from it are immense. So we went through and I gave him a brief of, this is what I think you should do. So lo and behold, next minute, engine, trans, drive line, brakes, all turn up here, you know, here you go. So long story short, the chassis comes off the body, new suspension goes in, body mount, sandblasted, full new exhaust that custom made. Basically turn the whole car inside and out, except when it's sitting on the ground, it looks like it did 12 months ago. And that's what he wanted. He wants something that sits in his garage and looks the same, but you lift the hood, look at underneath, the thing will drive like it was just so beautiful, stop on a dime, and yet sit in the garage and look the same as it did 20 years ago, you know. So yeah, it's been a good project actually. Yeah, the customer's, he's pretty happy with it, you know. Working on these cars, it's pretty cool to apply some creativity. It's not just fixing cars, you're creating things, you know, and it's one better than building your own car because it's not coming out of your pocket, you know, but it's fun when the people turn up and see progress that you've made on their car and they stand back and the smile they get, you know. These cars are people's love affairs, you know, and to be able to make them embrace their car and their dream, yeah, and being part of it, it's a cool job, you know. It's something cool, yeah.
Every week we're giving our viewers the chance to win a Teng Tools and Maguire's gift pack worth $250. Simply head to themotorhood.com and hit the Teng Tools Muscle Garage link. By entering our weekly draws at the end of the series, one lucky viewer will win a massive Teng Tools 622-piece automotive toolkit and 7-drawer workstation, a complete Maguire's car care pack, and a $500 mount shop voucher. The total value of this grand prize is nearly $6,000. Good luck, everyone. Teng Tools Muscle Garage was proudly brought to you by Teng Tools. Get organised. Mount Shop. Undercar specialists. Maguire's. People who love cars love Maguire's. And Need a Car. The easy way to research and buy cars online.